Good afternoon. I hope you had a good week. So, last week's card was the Hierophant or Hierophant, depending on how you pronounce it. Um, and that card is card number 5, and it really just stands for tradition, conformity, and morality and ethics. But also, don't forget that the Hierophant is a man of faith. You know, when you look at his robe, he actually has 3 crosses going down the middle of his robe. He also has a headdress. Also on the card, there's 2 men kneeling at his feet. So he is a religious figure, um, and he's a sort of spiritual advisor. So that was last week's card. So this week's card is card number 6, the Lovers. This card is a very interesting card because, as you can see, it's a man and a woman. They don't have any clothes on, and as you can see above them, there's like an angel like figure that is looking over them. So that's this week's card. Card number 6. Now we're going to see what Labyrinthios has to say, and then we're going to look at our other book written by A.E. Waite, or A.E. White, who is the original creator of the 78 card deck, original tarot deck. A.E. Waite is the one who created this deck. So since he created this deck, I thought it's only fitting that we read to see what he has to say about this card. But first, we're going to go to Labyrinthios, and we're going to see what they have to say. It's just a small little portion. So it says, Lovers. It stands for partnerships, unions, and duality. It says a union where forces are united. There is a relationship here where one piece fulfills the other, creating balance, harmony, and peace. Where one side is weak, the other is strong, and vice versa. This is a union where one can depend on the other. Blessed by nature that pushes each other to grow and expand. So the thing that jumps out to me is I do see the duality in this. They literally say one piece fulfills the other, creating balance, harmony, and peace. And it says where one side is weak, the other is strong. So that really shows you that this is a partnership. This is a union. And you really do see the duality. Also, a lot of people will say that the angel figure is like presiding over them, like blessing the union. But we'll see what A.E. Waite has to say about that, because he might talk about that. And guys, it's literally 100 degrees out here. So if you see me sweating, please just excuse my sweat. It's literally 100 degrees right now. I'm in the shade. But it's 100 degrees. So, okay. The Lovers. The sun shines in the zenith, and beneath is a great winged figure with arms extended, pouring down influences. In the foreground are two human figures, male and female, unveiled before each other, as if Adam and Eve when they first occupied the paradise of the earthly body. Behind the man is the tree of life, bearing 12 fruits, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is behind the woman, with the serpent is twining round it. The figures suggest youth, virginity, innocence, and love before it is contaminated by gross material desire. This is all in simplicity the card of human love, here exhibited as part of the way, the truth, and the life. It replaces by recourse to first principles the old card of marriage, which I have described previously. The later follies, which depicted man between vice and virtue. In a very high sense, the card is a mystery of covenant and Sabbath. The suggestion in respect of the woman is that she signifies the attraction towards the sensitive life, which carries within it the idea of the fall of man, but she is the working of a secret law of providence, than a willing and conscious temptress. It is through her imputed lapse that man shall rise ultimately, and only by her can he complete himself. The card is therefore, in its way, another imitation concerning the great mystery of womanhood. The old meanings fall to pieces of necessity with the old pictures, but even as interpretations of the latter, some of them were of the order of commonplace, and others were false in symbolism. Okay, so A.E. Waite said a lot here, but he tells us that the trees behind them, the tree behind the man is the tree of life, bearing 12 fruits, and the tree behind the woman is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Also, don't forget that the lovers are synonymous with youth, virginity, innocence, and love. So that's what he has to say about it. It's a very interesting card. Very interesting card. That's this week's card, but let's see what our reading is going to be. We're going to do our weekly reading just to give us an idea of what the week could be like. We're just gonna pull 3. There's different spreads you can use. We do a 3-card spread whenever we do our reading. When I do my personal readings, I do a 7-card spread. But we're just gonna do the 3-card spread, which represents the past, the present, and the future. Okay, the Fool card is at the bottom of the deck, and the Tower is at the top. Sometimes you just want to look and see what's at the top and the bottom of the deck, even if that's not really in the reading. You just still kind of want to see, like, what the energy is. So let's see. Our first card is the Sun, which represents youth and innocence. Our second card, interesting, is the Six of Swords, which represents like transition, moving on. And our third card is the Page of Pentacles, And the Page of Pentacles represents ambition, desire, and industriousness. So something about the industry. I'm not sure if they mean like movies and art when they say industry, or if they mean like factories, like an industry, like a factory industry. I'm not really sure what they mean by that. But let's read a little bit more into these. So the Sun card is what we pulled first. And as you can see, it's a youth on a horse. And he looks very happy. Very happy. This stands for joy, success, celebration, and positivity. The sun is the giver of life, and as such, it is associated with vitality, joy, and knowledge. So vitality. So that leads into the Six of Swords, which stands for transition, leaving behind, and moving on. When we encounter the Six of Swords, it signals a journey, one undertaken under strong duress. This journey will be a difficult one by sea, filled with choppy waters and unknown obstacles, but you are compelled to go this way because something drives you away from where you are. So it says that something drives you away from where you are. And it ends with the Page of Pentacles. So you're doing some kind of transition period here, where you're moving away from something into something else, into the Page of Pentacles. So let's see. Ambition, desire, industriousness. When we meet the Page of Pentacles, we see immediately that she is one of ambition and focus. She is protected, nourished, and provided for by the suit whose name she bears. Guided by it, she is deeply tied to the earth, nature, and all its gifts. She cherishes the body too, for it too is something which is a manifestation of her element. When you meet her, she may be the bearer of news connected to all earthly and material matters. When you hear her message, be inspired, lay foundations, and follow your ambitions. So this is a pretty interesting spread. So to me, we pulled the Sun first. Vitality, youth, innocence, success, which leads you into some kind of transition period where you're moving on from something. Maybe you're moving on from being youthful. Maybe you're leaving youthful ways behind. Into the Page of Pentacles. So, this is very interesting. She lays the foundation to follow your ambitions. They said that. Lay the foundations to follow your ambitions. So, whatever transition period is necessary. And it's necessary so that you can see what you need to leave behind or what you need to transition out of so that you can go into this new stage in your life where you're laying down the foundations for something. So just keep going. Keep laying the foundations. Keep coming up with ideas. Yeah, that's this week's spread. So thank you for watching. Let's get out this week's card one more time so you can see it. I actually put it back in the deck so that when we do our weekly reading, we actually could pull the card of the week. If I can't find it, we're just going to end. But yeah, I'm not seeing it. But it's a man and a woman facing each other with a angel-like figure above them, maybe presiding over them. You know, the man and the woman are naked, of course. It's a card called the Lovers. So the man and the woman are naked for obvious reasons. Here it is. And they have a divine union. So that's this week's card. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good week. I will try to send you a little reminder on Friday, just with a picture of the card and just kind of reminding you what the card is about before we move on to the next card. I like to give you a refresher before we just move on to the next card. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good week.